Okay, next person. I think we've had an example of someone running a business based on who they are and what they believe. We're going to hear more about what that means and how to do it by our friend, mentor, teacher, chief ass kicker, Alan Wick.
Okay, so I'd like you to think about something that's just pissed you off recently. Something that happened to you, right? You didn't invite it, you didn't expect it, and you didn't want it to happen. It's really annoyed you. It might have hurt you, might have upset you. It could be personal or in business. Take a moment, please, to do that. I was born into a very wealthy family. We had everything that money could buy. There was staff, big mansions, both here and abroad. I was taken to and from school by chauffeur. We had the best of everything. I never heard, we can't afford. My father was a very successful businessman, as had been my grandfather. And I absolutely, looking back, really respect what he did. He also raised millions for charity. So as a man and as somebody who achieved a lot, I've got huge respect. At the time as a child, though, he was absent, he wasn't there. And my mother, unfortunately, had a lot of difficulties. She'd had a very difficult childhood, and it turned out that she became a narcissistic personality disorder and was an alcoholic. So she was very, very unpredictable. And all of us close to her had to really watch out. And she was very cruel. So she would show her displeasure or her anger, not through yelling, which I would have preferred, but through cutting people off, the silent treatment. And anybody I see a few people nodding, who've experienced that, I think it's worse than being yelled at or even being hit. And days, weeks, or months might go by, and sometimes she'd cut people off for life if they said the wrong thing. So what did I take from that, and what were the learnings from that? Yeah, we've been talking a lot this weekend about reframing. Well, I learned about quality. I really did. Everything, whether it was food or cars or hotels or houses. I knew what real quality was, and I appreciate that. And I also learned to be super sensitive. Some might say oversensitive, but it was a matter of reading the mood ahead of time, listening to footsteps, listening to certain cues from afar of what my mother's mood was like, and learning to survive that. That's what it did for me. What did those learnings do for others? Well, it turns out that I can't help but see what's going on beneath the surface. And in my work as a business coach, business advisor, I'm dealing with people all the time, every day. And whether it's over Zoom or face to face, whatever they're saying, I also can see how they're feeling, what's going on beneath the surface. It's very helpful for my work and for friendships and family and so on. And the other really good thing that I can pass on is a balanced view of money. So in other words, if a client says to me, I really want to make more money, I'll only be happy when I make a certain amount of money, I really want to dig into that and find out why. What joy will that give them? And once I'm working on joy or happiness with people and dig underneath why they want more money, because I've experienced it and money does not buy you happiness, I can check that with people. The second business that I co-founded was a business called Turbo Sound, and it's a company that did and still does make professional audio equipment. And those are large loudspeakers for touring bands. And I'm proud to say that they're used by bands like Pink Floyd, Led Zepp, installed into Carnegie Hall, Grand Ole Opry. Very, very proud of that company. And I built it over 10 years and then sold it. Then I went off and did something else for a few years, which is another story, another business. And I got a call from my old pals at Turbo Sound. The business is up for sale. Would you like to come back? Got any money? Would you like to come back and buy it? And I said, oh, my heart leapt at it. I'd really missed it during the intervening years when I'd gone off and built another business, which went well, but my heart really wasn't in it. And I missed the dBs and kilohertz, the working with those famous bands, which I loved. And so a heart over head decision, I raised money and bought my old company back. And it was a bit like Fiat had bought both Maserati and then Ferrari. And those of you might have heard of Harman or JBL, those brands were what they're involved with. And I bought the business back. And what I found that happened to me was that my old buddies and the management had been kidding themselves. And the projections that I relied on to buy the business back were over-optimistic. They're nice people, they weren't trying to screw me, but I found out as I got in the lift, so to speak, expecting it to stay at the same level. That time it was about 5 million turnover, about 1 million profits. On paper, it looked really good. I thought I'd get into the lift, stay on the same floor, and take a year or two to really build the company back up again. But instead, I got into the lift and it went down fast. In the first year, we lost money, lost more the second year. And it nearly went out of business. And I got very angry with my old buddies. We fell out. I found out since then it's a common thing for that to happen. What did that do for me? What were my learnings? I learned how to do a turnaround. I'd never done one before. I didn't even know what a turnaround was, really. I'd heard of them. But it took 4 years of bloody hard work to get the company back on an even keel again and then sold. And the thing is, I got my money back, but I didn't make any. And it felt like a failure, it really did. And so learning what it feels like, in my view, from my perspective, to fail was a big, big learning for me. So what has that done for others? Well, that experience of doing a turnaround, working as a business advisor with companies, when companies go through a tough time, or if they come to me and say, we're in the shit, and that happened a lot through the Great Depression, 2008, 9, 10, that happened. I really know what that feels like, and I know what to do about it. So those learnings were really useful. How? Because what I learned about was, in order to bring that to other people, to leverage that experience when they're going through that, and also have empathy for those people, really, even if I was acting like, oh yeah, it's all fine and you're okay. So it was really good. It was really useful for others. In spring of 2016, I was alone in my flat in London. Family home is in Sussex, not far from here, when I felt a really strange tingling on the right side of my body, right arm, right leg. And then over a 2-hour period, this arm started to do that and lock, and the leg stopped working. And within that period, it was very scary. I had no idea what was going on. And I just managed to call 999, whisked off to Charing Cross Hospital. And in the hospital, they hadn't a clue what had happened to me. There were 10 days of tests. They were amazing, looked after me brilliantly. During those 10 days, like in the movies, I expected to be thinking back over all the failures I'd made. But the real learning was, it was regret for things I hadn't done through fear. We've all talked about it this weekend. I'm no different. Things I'm frightened of. Speaking in public, having a website, social media. I also learned a sense of gratitude, of being alive. I mean, I'm here, I'm still thinking, I'm in bed, I don't know what's going to happen. And what we discovered was that it was a stroke, and it was a fairly mild stroke. As you can see, I'm sort of hobbling around. This is a biggie for others. And in my work and family life and friends and so on, to be really grateful for what we've got, and fine to be hungry for the next thing as entrepreneurs, but be grateful for what we've got. Get the balance right. Don't be desperate to get to that next thing. The language of, I'll be happy when. Be happy now, and then the rest will happen. So life is short, and that was a big learning that I've brought on to other people. This is a recent one. This one I still feel this one. I bring love to business, and my brand is Alan Wick Love Business, and I talk about bringing love and love to the world and business as a force for good. And a friend of mine knew that, and he said, I'm going to send you a surprise. And I got a box a few days later, and in this box was this beautiful crockery heart, handmade in Glasgow. Beautiful handmade heart by a local artist. And I took time, I put it up on my wall. I like to kind of create a scene. I'm on Zoom most of the time. So I like to put behind me what I want to kind of say to people. So I put the heart up very carefully. Fabulous. I got really good reactions from people. One client said to me, oh, I'd love your heart. Can I have one? And I arranged for her to get one. And then one day, cleaner came in. We'll call her Isabel, not her real name. And the system is, I get my room, workroom at home cleaned when I'm having lunch. Down I went, she went in. And a few minutes later, she walked in and sort of holding something in her hands and shrugging a bit like that, this. I looked down what she was doing, and there was my freaking heart smashed. And I lost it. I know it is hard to believe, this calm, warm, nice, reasonable. My language belonged in Stamford Bridge. Now, if you don't know, Lawrence, where are you? But if you don't know where I mean, it's the home of Chelsea, where a lot of my heart lies. And I really lost it. I'm ashamed to say she burst into tears, put the pieces down, and left the house. The thing that really got to me was she looked like she didn't care. She was sort of shrugging. Like, this happened. I put it down. And that was one of the things that really annoyed me. My wife came in, and she was really annoyed with me. How dare you speak to her like that? How dare you speak to Isabel? That's disgraceful. And to cut a long story short in the time we've got, I ended up writing a long email to Isabel, apologizing profusely for how I treated her. And what happened in terms of my learnings was that I really brought back to me, and this is a couple of months ago, and I've done loads of therapy and work on myself and thought I'd bottomed this stuff out. And honestly, there was still, as my wife put it, there's still that bit of entitlement and superiority in you, isn't there? Yeah. So then she said, I tell you what, maybe there's something in this for you. We'll see. And a few weeks went by, and I was still upset. I couldn't put the heart back on the wall. My wife said to me, you know what? You're always going on about this kintsugi stuff. Kintsugi, for those of you who don't know, this Japanese art of repairing broken pottery and making it even more beautiful with gold paint. Have you seen that? Yeah. Anybody seen that? So I said, why don't you get your heart kintsugi'd? Amazing. Of course, light bulb moment. I got the heart kintsugi'd, I put it back on the wall, and it looks absolutely amazing. And then I wrote a blog about this, like I'm telling you, and put it on LinkedIn, and it was one of the best received blogs I've ever written. Well done, for being vulnerable. And we all do it, but I didn't know what about them out there. Well done for being honest. Well done for you showing your vulnerability, and your learnings are really good from it. What has that done for others? Well, it reinforces everything happens for a reason. It is a little bit of a, it's often repeated, becomes a bit cliched. Every cloud has a silver lining. But I really think it does. I really believe that. And whenever clients, friends, family say, this shit's happened to me, this really dreadful thing's happened, I don't deserve it, that type of thing, I can then use that learning to bring to them. They find it very useful. So I'd like you to reflect back on what you wrote down earlier. And please imagine, what has it done for you? What has that horrible thing that happened recently, that you wrote down earlier, flip it into what has it done for you? then make a note of what have those learnings helped you to help others with? Because from my perspective, I believe this is the most important bit. Because how do we, all of us in this tent, multiply the effect of this weekend of what we can do and what we can learn and bring it to others for the good of the world? There it is. And yeah, now I want us to be the heart for a minute. I got broken. I didn't ask for it. The cleaner smashed me on the ground. I don't deserve that. Hold on. I'm being repaired. Wow, I look even better than I did before. Ah, I'm giving others joy. Wow, isn't that amazing? So this to me says everything. So what I'd like you to do, please, is to repeat after me. To me.
To me.
For me.
For me.
For others. Let's keep going. To me. For me. For others. To me. For me. For others. Last time. To me. For me. For others. Thank you very much. Thanks. Thanks. Thank you.